doing an away FA Cup tie. So I guess you're expecting much the same, and they'll go about things in a similar way.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, dangerous to predict too much, but they've been fairly consistent in how they've played in the league this season. And they'll probably have some real similarities in the game tomorrow night as they had to last weekend. So, yeah, we obviously haven't got a lot of time between the game and a lot of opportunity to do any practice in terms of how we prepare for the game. But we'll do a little bit with the players today about how we think we can hurt them. And if it takes a similar shape as the first game, then we need to be better with the ball and more clinical to create chances, and make sure we're not as open to counter-attacks as we were when we played there. And whatever it ends up being, I think the one thing we can guarantee the game is it's a big game that everyone wants to progress in the competition, and therefore we'll have to be really aggressive and find a top physical commitment to the game to make sure that we aren't one of those stories in the tournament that surprises people, because they'll want to come and create the shock. We've got to take on the mantle of the favourite and get ourselves through to the next round, because obviously we know how much this competition can do for us. So yeah, we'll need to be good tomorrow. We'll need to make sure that we follow on from a really good performance at the weekend and get ourselves through. But that won't be easy, as we saw last week.
Yeah, you mentioned there about leaving the back door open, but the quality of chances that you created in the first game, if you can have a similar quality of opportunities this time around, it should put you in a good place.
Yeah, we'll have to be creative first in order to do that, and make sure we're really clinical and ruthless when we get those opportunities. Part of that's being good enough, part of that's being calm enough and composed enough, part of that is when there's a lot of bodies in the box, making sure we're aware of the pressure and the space, and we execute our chances well, whether that's the last pass or the finish or the decision making. All those things will become really important. But fundamentally, first of all, we've got to make sure we are a solid and strong team. I think that's what we've seen in recent weeks from us, and we have to keep building on that.
Did you feel like you'd cracked the finishing and the lack of confidence in front of goal after Wycombe? Because you had 3 goals and they were a nice mix of goals as well, but then it's pivoted back, and with the Posh game and also with the FA Cup, and I guess to a certain extent at the weekend as well, then you've had those chances and haven't been able to take them.
Yeah, I think in the end, if in any of those games we score one of the chances we have, the momentum of the game shifts quite a bit, and the opposition maybe open up a little bit more, and the space becomes available a little bit more. So it might have been easier to be more clinical in those games. The Wycombe game, because we scored first, it made it a more open game. They had to chase it, gave us more space. Peterborough were protecting a lead, Curzon were protecting their goal. The other day, Bolton was an open game with penalty box action in both halves, and then once they had a man sent off, they were a bit more solid in their own half. So it becomes harder in those situations. So I think the key bit is just making sure when you get an opportunity that you take it, because the goal can change the picture of the game quite a bit, and that certainly would have been the case, I think, in a number of the games that we've played. So I think we know. It's pretty obvious because we've had it in the past. We've created a large number of chances in a lot of games recently. We've got players that can score goals. So no doubt that will turn around in good time. I think the first part of that is to make ourselves a harder team to beat. And I think we've looked at in the last couple of weeks. So that's the foundation for us in anything. And then hopefully the other bits will come as a consequence of that.
Yeah, at the weekend, did it make a big difference to have Harrison back on the left, George on the right, and have that balance to the side? There really did seem to be the solidity there, even though, of course, you'd have to make the change with Zeno coming out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a back four that played together at the start of the season and have put a few games together in a successful period for us. I think not having a balance in the back four in recent weeks has been obvious for us to see, and as a consequence in your attacking play and also your defensive stuff. So that certainly helped us. He did well to get through 90 minutes for the first time in probably quite a long time. I don't know how many weeks, but quite a long time. And it ended up, I thought we looked solid and strong, but also I thought the fullbacks were able to get forward and give us an extra attacking threat as well. It was a nicely balanced game at the moment, which is what we need, really. We need to be strong and solid in games. And we're in a little run of games where I think we're fairly satisfied with the level that we've been hitting, and we're not far away from turning that into results. But we'll take the point from the weekend without doubt. I think it's a good result for us.
With the team news, I know it's 9:20 on a Monday. It's not going to change massively from the weekend, but you're still confident on Sam Smith that nothing too serious from the back end of the game?
Yeah, Sam fine. Need to check Lewis Simper this morning. He took a whack on his foot second half, so we need to check on him. Other than that, Harrison won't play because we're just looking after him ready for the weekend, but everybody else is fit and available.
Is Ben Warman your man if Lewis isn't ready? Suppose you're getting down to the point where the group of players, certainly in terms of senior ones, is getting very tight.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and yeah, he's the next one in at the moment. He played 20 odd games last year in there, so he's absolutely fine. He's a good player, Ben. He's not had many opportunities this year, but he's ready to go and has been desperate to get in the team for a while. So if it's him tomorrow night that plays, then I've no doubt he'll do well.
Did the toing and froing with the potential loan move for him, did that just set him back a bit I think it was very much the idea at one point that he would head out. Has that just taken a bit of time to adjust?
I don't think so. I think he wasn't getting in the team or nearer to the squad earlier when everyone was fit. I mean, good job he didn't go out now because we'd have been super light. So the best thing about him is he just trains flat out every day and gives his maximum, which is great, which makes him ready for it. So the idea of a loan when he wasn't getting football and wasn't making squads was definitely what he needed. But now he's close enough to the team and the squad that he's obviously not going to be going anywhere at this moment in time. So we'll just, I'm sure his opportunities will come over this next period of time when we are where we are. And Lewis has gone in the team and done well. So yeah, it's a nice little battle in there for two of our younger ones.
Yeah, is that a bit of a mental test for Ben where you're the player breaking through last season and making all the ground, and then Lewis comes along and maybe hops above you in the queue? Does that become a bit of a mental test?
Maybe, but really naturally, it's not Ben's most natural position. So Lewis is a central midfield player in a pair, and Ben's used to and more commonly played higher up the pitch. But he made his way into the team last year in central midfield. I think it's the reality for young players. You can have an idea of how you want to break into a team, but usually it comes around due to injuries or sort of unforeseen circumstances, and quite often those opportunities come in a position that isn't your most natural one, and you have to grab that. So I think he did that really well last year, and as and when those chances come for him this year, I'm sure he'll handle it. But he's tough as boots. It is. He's not phased by anything. So yeah, he's a resilient character. He's got the minerals you need really to have a go and crack it.
How's Sekou getting on? I think you'd said at the start of the season that you saw him as a bit of a project and you got a lot of ideas as to how you'd like to work with him. Is he continuing to progress as you'd like? Because obviously from a fan's point of view, we haven't seen too much of him.
Well, no, he's obviously been really short of game time. I mean, part of that was early in the season, the players were doing ever so well. Part of that is his levels in training have got to be consistent enough to show that he can get in the team. And in the end, football supporters like a moment that makes them go woo, and managers like real reliability in the game. So he's got to understand, firstly, and develop. It takes time as a wide player in our team to understand you're probably going to be out of possession more than you're going to be in possession, and therefore your defensive understanding, reliability, consistency with the ball becomes really important. And it's the area of the pitch, especially with Sam playing wide, Jack being able to play wide, Nibsy being able to play wide. We've got quite a few options in those areas. So it's one of the areas where we're best covered. So that's hit him a little bit in terms of consistency. And then his time between his games has been quite long. So then it's like it's been hard. It's hard for him to be physically ready to go and impact a game and have that input in the game. So there's moments where he might have come on, but I haven't chosen to use him. But I think he's in particular last week he was excellent. He was really back on track to where we want him to be. And I think over the next few weeks and between now and the new year, he'll get some good opportunities at game time. So that's up for him to grab that. But he's certainly a player that can excite and can create chances. And it'll be a good opportunity for him over the next few weeks to show that.
Cool. That's great for me.
Can I just ask about Mannion obviously coming? And it's difficult when you're number two keeper to come in and make an impression. Had a little bit of a nervous start, but has really settled in and is really looking good.
Yeah, he's played well. He's been well protected in front as well. I think the team's looked really a bit more secure and a little bit calmer in the way in which we've defended. And he adds that. He's a nice, calm character who keeps a goal well. He's shown improvements in every game, I think. He's made some good saves. He's looked good on crosses. Distribution's been decent. And he's sort of unflappable as a character, which is nice. Just gives you a nice composure in the team. So, yeah, he's taken his opportunity well and played well. But like anything, you want to be able to be consistent and put that together. So hopefully he can continue that because he's been good for us in the short period of time he's played, and his challenge over the next month or so is to continue with that level.
Cheers.
Hi, Mark. Obviously the squad's quite light at the minute, but is this a game where you're inclined to make as many changes as you can, given that it's a 3-game week?
Yeah, we'll make changes for sure, because I think we need to. With the squad that we've got at the minute, we have to be careful of overusing and overworking all of the players, but at the same time, we want to be the strongest team we can. So you can certainly expect the ever-presence to be in the team, because they make up what we are, and we've got to make sure the performance level is of a really high level in order to get progress in the competition. So we know we're in for a tough game, and we'll be ready for that. And we want to make sure that the level of the game in terms of our identity and idea around it and commitment towards it is the same as it was on Saturday.
What type of team are Curzon Ashton? What can we expect from them?
Exactly what you saw about 10 days ago.
I wasn't there. Can you fill me in?
The same version of that. So anybody that saw it will know they're hard to create chances against. They've got a good defensive record. They've got good physical presence at the top end of the pitch, and they're a decent team in possession of the ball. They'll build and have got good threats in the team. And as we saw last time, they counter-attack well against us. So yeah, it'll be a game that we know, obviously haven't played them such a short period of time away. That's fresh in the memory for the players. And that will mean that we know what to expect, which you don't always know when you go to the first game, but certainly we will do going into this one, and we need to be ready for that.
Do you acknowledge as well that you need to be much better than you were in the first game in order to progress?
No, not really. I just think we've got to score if we get the chances. We were quite dominant in the game. We created lots of chances, and if we scored a goal at any point, I think the game would have changed. So, yeah, we were okay in the first game, but probably dipped under a little bit in a few levels. But there's quite a few teams that would still like to be in our position in the competition. So, yeah, we're quite confident with that. And you know, off the back of a few decent performances, I think it sets us up nicely to go in and try and deliver that level. And if we do, then we've got to get ourselves through to the next round, because there's a home tie waiting for somebody, and that's one that we want to grab.
Yeah, you mentioned as well on Saturday about the need to create your own noise and atmosphere and intensity around the game, with the attendance being much lower. Do you think that's going to be important tomorrow night then?
I think it's always important to some extent, because sometimes the Abbey's bouncing like it was on Saturday, and sometimes it's like this. So will be. But we got promoted in a pandemic when no one was there, so we're fairly good at doing it. We've just got to remind ourselves of what that looks like and how that feels. But we've got some good characters and some good energy creators in the team, so we'll need to do that. If we do that, then hopefully the ability that we've got will show through.
It's great. Thank you.